Hey, babe. Hello, all, and welcome to the Affluent Marriage Pod. You're listening to one financial coach and one educator talk about living a rich and full marriage through generational wealth building principles, authentic two-way communication strategies, and everything in between to become a couple that lives in love and walks in wealth. Your legacy begins here.
We're talking about the communication strategies today.
That's what we're talking about today, Gram Fam. And this is
What's up,
a
Gram
exclusive Gram Fam episode.
Guys, this is episode 10.
We made
Gram
it.
Fam. We have made it.
Double digits.
Double digits. We are in there.
I mean,
I feel like,
after this, I don't have enough fingers.
you're going to have to go to your toes.
Gotta go to our toes.
Gotta go to your toes. I just feel like this is really exciting.
Toes.
Why do you keep singing this song?
I've got toes.
There are certain songs that he will, you can tell he's gotten on social now because he's like humming all of these like the songs that are on like
We did
Instagram.
it. We did it. We did
TikTok.
it. Yeah.
And I'm like, stop. I used to be the one to do that, but he had no idea what it was.
It is great because now I feel like you get to experience the how vexing it can be to hear the same soundbite
over and
repeat over and over as you're editing.
I agree.
And now you know, when I was sitting in bed at night and I was like off social, I had no idea what you were doing. And I'm like, babe, do we really got to listen to the same soundbite?
And I'm like, well, I'm looking at comments. Like, do you guys ever do that? Like, I'll be like, looking at the comments that go with the video, but the video is playing over and over and over again in the background. I don't know why I do that. But you know, sometimes it would just be easier just to pause it and look at the comments. But I'm like, I don't know why. I just always have it on in the background, and it would drive him crazy. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so, because now you know.
Now I know.
All right, Grand Fam. So last pod, we talked a little bit about why it's important to communicate with your partner, why some relationships have one money-minded individual and one that's not, and why we're pretty much against that notion, right? Yeah. We believe that you need to be on the same page as your spouse. It's cool if they run the budget and they do the spreadsheets and they put in all the numbers, but you need to have a seat at the table.
Yep.
You need to be a part of the conversation.
Yes.
You need to be in the know.
You matter. Both sides matter. So I'm excited about this because this episode is one that is very near and dear to our heart. We talked about it a little bit in the previous episode about Safe Place. And we talked about how important it is to us and how it really was, I think, pivotal in us starting conversations with each other, not just about money, but about other parts in our life.
Yeah, for this being such a big deal to our marriage and something that we do extremely well, I got to be honest with you, I don't know when we started doing this whole safe place conversation. And I was hoping that you knew when this all started. Like, when did this all go down?
So I remember was
it like a dark and stormy night? Like, were we yelling at each other? Did we throw things across the room? And we were like, that's it. We need a safe place.
No, it wasn't even like that. And okay, I'm going to be very clear because I think there's you have to know about like our characters, and I realize that every single person is different in how they like in their characters and how they grew up and like how they manage things. Daniel and I are pretty like even keeled like people. I'm crazy. I don't mean like that. I mean like talking about tough topics or whatever. Like he can be.
Oh, when conversing.
Yes, when conversing.
We're very chill.
We're very chill. We're not. I don't like yelling. He yelled at me.
We don't
one
get riled
time.
up. We're not.
I'm not allowed to
crazy like that.
He yelled at me, and by version of yelled at me.
Yeah, we got some finger quotes going on here for the people that can't see.
It was not a yell, but it was a very stern.
I had to use the man voice.
And I don't like that. I told him very clearly, which I'm very proud of myself. And it didn't happen until after we were married. And I remember he did some type of stern like voice or something like that. And I told him, I cried. And I said, I will not respond to you. If you want me to communicate with you and you want me to understand where you're coming from and actually have a conversation, you can't talk to me that way. And that's pretty much all it took. And for him, it was just like, oh, I didn't know. Like he grew up with brothers, so talking, and like that, dude, why didn't you pick it up was not that big of a deal to him. But to me, I was like, yeah, no, you can't do that. And I think
I'm a delicate flower.
And I don't like confrontation and I'm better with it now, but I don't like confrontation. I like to keep people happy. And so I don't know. I think that was like a part of it, I guess, is that we already had open communication with stuff like that, right? And he was well receptive when I was saying things like that. But then when you added money to the mix, when there was like this like rift of like, there's $76,000 and it wasn't your fault, Kim. And it wasn't technically it was his school debt, but he didn't know about it, right? So he's bringing this into the conversation. He's bringing this into the marriage. And now we have to figure out how to dismantle this conversation. This was totally foreign to us. How do you talk about money? I don't know necessarily when we came up with this idea of safe place, but I know when I can pinpoint when we heard about it. And we were doing a Bible study and it was with married people and we were one of the younger couples. In fact, most of the couples in there were like our youth pastors or people who had probably watched us when we were dating, and it felt super awkward.
Man, I don't remember this at all.
I remember this. So I remember
this must have been like over a decade ago.
Yeah. And so I remember us sitting in this Bible study, and I'm going to bring them up again. I swear I've said their name like 4 times already in the 10 episodes we've had, but Brent and Aaron Althouse.
Wow.
I know.
If you're not friends with this couple,
they're pretty pivotal.
You need to seek them out on social and find them.
I need to tell them that they're like in our podcast like 4 times already. And they were talking about this, like, I guess in this Bible study that we were doing, and they mentioned safe place, and they were talking about why that was so important in their marriage. And Brett and Aaron were talking about how they use it in their marriage, about how they use this phrase, and and then they talked about it. And I don't know, maybe that was something that we like, I guarantee you we made fun of it at first because we were the young ones and we probably like, safe place. Kind of like we made fun of like the idea of go slow to go fast. And now we like love it.
Now
like
it's our motto.
Right. And I think that's probably how it started. And then it was one of those things where I was like, yo, safe place. And he was like, oh, we're doing this. Okay, cool. And it just kind of probably started out as a joke. And then...
Yeah, I mean, just listening to you, though, talk about safe place, there's a couple of things that I picked up on that you said before we really get into like starting that safe place conversation and what that is. It sounded like you had a keen awareness of who you were as a person.
Yeah.
And you were aware of how you like to be spoken to, how you like to speak to others, and really how you want that conversation to look. So it's important to know not only yourself, but you had an awareness of me and my upbringing and my relationship with communication and what it looked like in my family. You'd been around my family. So you were able to say, hey, I see this is how you do things. Mm-hmm. This is how I do things. Let's find a way that works well for us.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to the fact that I really like to compromise. Like I said, I'm a people pleaser. So that's where that kind of came into play, where I was like, listen, I want to make sure you're happy and I'm happy, but I'm not going to be a doormat. So it doesn't mean like you could be happy and I'm not happy. Like I want us both to be able to have seats at the table, so to speak, in terms of the conversation. So I mean, I don't know. I had to be very vocal. But again, I hear people talk about how they say it's hard to talk to their spouse. And I'm like, isn't this your best friend? Like when you decided to date them, you were talking to them. I don't care how quick it was. You said, this is my best friend. I can see myself living with them for the rest of my life. And when you said those vows and you looked into their eyes and you were like, this is the person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, you said that you would talk to them. You said you would communicate with them. That those are a part of like the vows. Those are a part of marriage. So I'm like, if that's the case, then I should be able to tell you anything. That includes, hey, what you said made me feel this way. But I also agree what you said. You have to know yourself. You have to know how you like to be talked to. And you have to know that this person that you've decided to be with is your rock. And if you don't feel comfortable telling them how you truly feel then there's bigger issues at hand that are deeper than the surface.
But maybe what we're going to talk about on this podcast will help you out with that very situation.
Yes.
Because we're going to break down what we're going to do in this podcast, Kim, is I want to have a mock safe place conversation with you.
Okay.
Which I've given you no preparation on, which I think makes it authentic because we're just speaking from the heart. But it is going to be a past conversation that we've had before. So it will be a familiar conversation.
Because I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not going to bring up new content on you. This will be a past conversation that we've had.
Okay.
But I think it'll benefit a lot of the listeners.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of break down that conversation and go piece by piece and kind of reveal to you what you need to do in your safe place conversation. So you get to hear
Yeah.
a real one, and you get to hear us break down step by step what we did so that you can
I like
reiterate
this.
that.
I
like that?
this. Yeah, I like
Good
that.
idea?
You like that.
Good
I like
idea?
that. Good idea.
Yeah, you like that.
Oh my gosh, there were so many.
Captain Kirk.
There were so many quotes in there.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I'm so sorry. Not sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of give us a little background here on what Kim and I, what's going on in our life, and then what this safe place conversation was about. Okay.
Okay.
So let's set the stage a little bit here.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You started working your financial business in what year, would you say?
2020.
2020, the year of the pandemic.
Yeah, but it was before. It was January 2020. I quit my boutique and decided to run full force into KG Financial.
And about how long into 2020 was it before? Now, about how long was it into 2020 before you hired your first coach?
3 months. So it was like March, which was right before everything shut down. I was giving birth in April.
She was actively giving
I was
birth.
actively giving birth, but I was 8 months pregnant. I was going to have her in April. I didn't know it was a her at the time. But I invested in a coach in March of 2020.
And about how much money was that investment?
It was $8,000, and it was I feel like it was about $1,200 a month,
Okay. And
maybe 13.
was your business that profitable at that point?
No, I already knew you were going to ask. No.
Okay.
I was making very little money.
All right. Did your business improve because of that decision?
Yes.
Now, in 2021, did you hire a coach?
Yes.
Who
I
was
feel like I'm
your
on trial.
Who was your next coach?
My next coach was Jenny Vatska, and I did that at the end of 2020. No, 2021. End of 2021. Yes, because it's 2023. Jeez. End of 2021, I went in with her program.
It was like a smaller program,
It was a
right?
4-month program. I would say it was like an accelerated program. That program it was actually a $6,000 program, but I asked her for more specific one-on-one coaching because I know that that's how I learned best. And it was an additional $3,000. So it was a $9,000 program.
Okay. So in 2020, you weren't that profitable. You dropped $8,000, but then it really did help your business out.
It did.
I saw that. And then in the next year, you were like, hey, new coach, this Jenny chick, I'm going to drop $9,000 on her.
Yeah.
And did that help your business?
It did. I was actually in a slump in my business beforehand. So I was making money in my business. I had money in my business, but it was quickly dwindling, and I knew I needed to invest. I knew I needed something to jolt myself back into action. And so that's when I went into coaching. So yeah. And it did help.
So then we get to like the end of 2021. It's like the fourth quarter of 2021. Your business is doing really well, actually.
Yes. First quarter was amazing.
First quarter of 2022, your business is doing really well.
Fan-freaking-tastic.
And this is where it's all going, right? So we've
Yes.
set the stage. We kind of understand Kim has been investing in coaches year after
Yes.
year. She has seen some gain from it, and she really likes Jenny. She's spent
Love
$9,000 on
Jenny.
her. And then you wanted to have a conversation with me about continuing on with Jenny in this specialty program. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah. So Jenny had a program, and this program, she approached me right after I finished her program because I did very well. I had like one of my top, like I had 20K months. I think that's probably the top that I had within the first like month and a half of being in the program. I was like, my program was going like crazy. And that's why first quarter I was like booked out. I had people paying in full. I was on top of the world. And I was feeling great. And then she was like, hey, this program is about to come to an end and I'm so proud of you and everything, but I want you to think about this because I think what you need is a little bit more, guided support and maintaining and consistency, which she's absolutely right. Like my lead gen was kind of like meh. But I was doing great. It was like scrappy, and I needed a little bit more finessing. And so she offered a program to me that was a lot more smaller scale. It was a 6-month program and it was $18,000. And I really wanted to try and pay it in full, but I did not have the cash flow for that. And so I'd opted for the payment plan. And so it was about $3,300 and for 6 months. So it was about $20,000 overall, like $9,000.
So that's where I want this mock safe place to go. So that's what I want us to talk about. So I just want you to pretend that, you're coming to me. We're going to talk about that conversation.
Hey, babe. So I just wanted to, I've been doing really great in my business. Like I've been killing it.
Yep.
Right. But I really feel like what I need is safe place moment.
Yeah. Can you give me like 2 minutes? This is the end of the NBA game and it's like the final 60 seconds and Lakers have a chance to win this. And I'm going to be really distracted right now if I try to have this conversation.
Yeah. Makes sense.
30 minutes later. You know how like basketball games, it's like the last 2 minutes always takes like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Kim. Hey, you came to me earlier. You were saying you wanted to talk to me about your business and how you're crushing it and you have this new opportunity. The game's over. Lakers lost. They suck. I hate them. I'll watch them again tomorrow, though.
I'm sorry.
All right. But I'm good now. So what was it?
Time?
Yeah. What did you want to talk about?
Okay. I'm so excited. So I had a conversation today with Jenny. And, I've been doing really great in her program. Like I've been killing it this quarter. And I know I feel like I could do it on my own, but you know how much I thrive when I have somebody like that's sitting in the driver's seat with me. And so she offered this program to me that's 6 months long and it's a lot more close, focused. And it's really, I feel like, going to accelerate my business even further to get better on the lead gen part of things and it just really refine some of my systems and figure out how to like elevate into the CEO that I know I want to be and that I know I can be. So I want to invest in coaching again. And I know I just invested in coaching before, but we saw like time and time again how well we've been able to get like our ROI on that. It's $18K. And if I do the payment plan, which I mean, I would love to do it in full, like it would be awesome, but I do not want to take out of the Graham Trust for this. I want it to come out of my business and my business only. I'm going to have to do the payment plan and it's like $3,300 a month. So I'd love to know what you think.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me just tell you, like, I love you so much and I love that you feel open and honest and comfortable enough to bring this to me. So thank you. Now, I have some concerns, but first I just want you to know that I hear you. The first time you got a coach, and you spent like $7,000 or $8,000 on it, I saw the difference. Like you really didn't know where you were going with your business, and that did make a difference for you. And I know that you just worked with Jenny and you've had your best quarter ever. You were having like was it 20K quarter? Yeah,
I had 20K months.
Okay.
And, so I really feel like the clients that I'm bringing in, I'm just getting so much more like understanding of who I want to work with. And it's just, I feel like I'm there, but I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? Like I see so much for what I want my business to be. And I just feel like I am so close to where I want to be. And I feel like I need to have more support.
I hear that. So here's and this is not me saying no. Yeah. I don't want you to think like I'm crushing dreams or whatever. I'm just saying what's on my heart, what's on my mind.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So you spent money on the first coach and you saw a difference. That was incredible. And then shortly after that, you spent money on a second coach and like both of those combined is like 15 grand.
Yeah.
And now you want to spend those two combined plus like 5 grand. Like that's a big number. It's really scary. That's like double our mortgage every month.
Yeah.
And I know you just crushed it, but like that's a legitimate concern to me that the number is double our mortgage.
Yeah.
And you literally just got out of coaching. Like, is it possible that, and you tell me what you think. What if instead of jumping into this program, what if you just worked your business for a little bit just to see like, see how far you can fly, without the coach for a little bit? Like, do you think that's something?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I hear what you're saying. And you're right. Like, I feel like I do need to give myself a chance to like try it out, like to see what I can do on my own. But I don't know. I feel like I've tried that before where like even after I was finished with that first coach, I had like a good like 8-9 months of not having a coach. And I'm not saying I did a bad job, but I feel like I would just kind of like bounce from thing to thing to thing. And, you know, I would do one-on-one, and then I would do group, and then I would do a course, and then I would try to do all these different things trying to get the same type of traction. And what I'm really looking for is something that's a lot more streamlined and just I want to work less, and I want to be able to make more impact. And I have to learn how to really sell like this main offer that I have, and not, I just need to learn how to focus is what I need. And so, yes, although I feel like maybe I could, I also feel like I might run the risk of making even more mistakes like I did last year, which might cause me to get back into the situation where I'm like, oh crap, I need more support, and I don't want to run that cycle again. Like, I really just want to be able to get to new heights every time.
Right. I mean, look, I know that with every one of these business like opportunities that you've taken, you've never not been successful. Like, you've always grown, you've always had more profit. So I see how this investment could be valuable. I guess if this is something you really want to do, like, I guess it would help ease my mind if I knew your plan. Like, when does she need to know by? Is this something we can sleep on and think about? And like, how much money do you have saved right now?
Yeah.
Like, what's your plan? I know you just had an amazing quarter.
Yeah.
So kind of break that down for me.
That's a good question.
What's your plan?
So right now I can, we have until like the end of the week to decide. So we don't have to like, this is a big decision.
So we don't have to make it like tonight.
No, we don't have to make it tonight. So we can sleep on it. I have been doing a really great job making sure that I'm like organizing my finances and making sure that I put some into taxes and I put some into backup pay. I have my assistant that I pay every single month, and I have like about 3 or 4 months worth of expenses saved up. So I really only be focusing on like whatever money I'm bringing in from the clients that I do have would be going towards, this coaching, and I would still have 3 months of reserves to pay for expenses for at least the next 3 months. So that gives me a little bit of cushion to figure out my groove and kind of get to this next level. So I do have some cash flow aside to make sure the business can still run and that we can still get paid.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a plan, which is awesome, I guess. But in terms of what that's going to do to our family, because every month right now we know our expenses. With my income, I bring in a good portion of the expenses, but we'd still be about, I want to say $800 short.
Yeah.
Like, what will you be able to make that 800 and pay for your coach?
Yes. Yeah. I'll definitely.
Will there be any more after that?
There might be more, depends on how many clients I bring in, like, which we're hoping that I'm able to like completely, I did really great this last quarter, and I've been able to give us even more like in savings, like on top of that. Right. So, and then, this is like second quarter. So we're talking March to June. And then I know when we go into the summer, you're getting summer pay. There's more opportunities for both of us to get more income. So that might give us a little bit more cushion in that time frame so that we're not missing my additional income on top of the bare minimum I need to bring in. But I can definitely bring in at least that 800 and definitely then some and more.
Okay. I guess here's my other concern. So I hear that this is what you want to pursue because it's going to help you grow and become better at your business. And every time you've done this, you've grown, and we've seen the value. This is a big number. Like, this is $20K, right?
Yeah.
And we have goals. Like, we're trying to pay off this home that we're living in so we can rent it out. We're trying to save up for a minivan. We want our daughter to go to private school. Like, we have a lot of big ticket items that we want to take care of. And I just feel like if you pursue this $20,000 coach, I mean, that's $20K that could have gone into private school or into home or into minivan, but I get it. Like, it's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. But that's just kind of another one of my concerns.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like, I know that those things are really important, and, I want to make sure we are able to do all those things. Like, that's important to me too. And, if you think about the fact that, a $20,000, investment is huge. And I trust me, like my stomach is turning just thinking about it too. Like it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but
double our mortgage, and we still pay our mortgage.
I know. But I'm just thinking of, again, having that close support, the ROI on that, even if I'm getting like, 2 or 3 additional clients a month, like we could be able to knock that out of the water and then some, and be able to, do all those extra things that we need to, and be able to put extra towards the cars, and all of those other goals that we have as well. I don't know. I just feel like I know that right now it seems like it's kind of like giving us like a stall. It's not like pushing us forward, but I feel like it's like a slingshot. Like I feel like this is the thing. Like if I can get to
go slow to go fast,
right? If I can get to consistent like 30, 50K months, in revenue, that means that money is going to be coming to us within the next 6 months.
I mean, when you say it like that,
I feel like that if that's the goal that we're going after,
sure,
this could be, there could be a really great ROI here if we continue this trajectory.
Yeah. I mean, I think we probably both feel the same. Like we both feel super anxious and nervous about the idea of paying that much every month. But I think we both get excited by the idea of what that could do for us.
Right.
Based on the data of your last 2 coaches, we know what happens when you work with a coach.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I'm ready to give, my opinion. Like you've given me a lot to think about. I think I need to sleep on it.
Yeah.
And then we can continue this conversation.
Okay.
Maybe tomorrow.
All right.
After I've slept on it and thought about it, and we can go from there.
Yeah. Well, thank you for hearing me. I know that this is really important. Like I really, really have such big goals and dreams for this business. And
babe, come on.
I appreciate you giving me a safe place to just vent and
anytime.
Judgmental space.
No worries. That's what I'm here for.
Yep. I love you.
I love you. All right. So
it seems so authentic, didn't it?
I try. I know
words we really said.
I know you're just probably being sarcastic or joking, whatever. But I tried to say it similarly. I mean, I guess the only thing that you're not going to hear in our voices is when Kim told me the number, because those are true numbers.
Yeah.
When Kim told that to me, I mean, my heart really did sink in my chest, because there's this feeling of like, man,
no, not again.
Right. We have just done this multiple times before. And
I've done it multiple times since.
The number keeps going up. It just keeps getting more expensive. I'm like,
I know,
man, like, come on.
I know.
Because every time we talk about our dreams, and I'm like, this is what I want to accomplish. And you'd be like, so I love that. But first, coaching. And it's like, I mean, I see the dividends. I see the payoff.
Yes.
But it's like, I just want to get to the dreams.
Oh, man.
But hey, here we are now, right?
Yeah,
2023, and the summer's coming, and we're going to have the van. And
yep, we are. We're going to have all those things. Honestly, that was, and truth be told, I hope that you guys understand, we want to be as completely transparent as possible with you. That after that program, I went into another program. It was an extension program, so it was not nearly as much as 20K. It was like maybe 3,500, 3,000 ish. But I mean, so mere like drop in the bucket compared to what we did beforehand. But I think the biggest thing that rocked us during that time frame was my mindset. So we talked about that before in other episodes, that I had a really rough mindset. And that happened right smack dab in the middle of this program. And when we talk about safe place, there was a lot of safe place moments that we had to have, because there was a lot of like, okay, Kim, you're not bringing in what you said you were going to bring in. And it wasn't even like that. It was just like, we would do these like, these budget meetings, and those are definitely a safe place moment. There are no like, your fault. It's not that. It's a projection meeting. It's a let's really talk about it meeting, but it's we are a team in that moment. And so it was really hard for me to know, okay, like I got to get it together. Get it together. But for whatever reason, my mindset was just not in it.
Right. I think we learned something from that experience,
We
though.
did.
We learned that with the 7K and the 8K coaching, having a $1,000 to $1,200 bill every month, that really
hurt.
didn't.
Yeah, it didn't
It
hurt.
didn't really. I don't know. We were able to brush it off and be like, okay, is that a lot? Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's not a
still a
small
lot.
amount of money. Like that's a lot, but we were able to swallow that. But the idea of spending $3,300 a month,
It hurt.
that did something to your psyche.
It hurt.
Because every day that someone didn't come in, it's like the pressure built up.
Yep.
And you wanted it more and more and more, but then I don't know, like it did something to your mindset.
It really did. Like I was not in an abundant, if you want to talk about it that way, I was not in an abundant mindset, and it really put pressure on me. And I recognized not that high ticket, like this is ultra high, this is the highest I've done. Not that ultra high ticket things are bad, right? No, I think it was a great program, and I would do it over and over and over again. But the problem was I was not financially ready for that. I should have had more of a down payment, whether it's not that I paid it half up front or had more than half ready to go. I should have practiced the power of like, not right now, and been able to push that later. I should have done a lot of things. I don't regret the program, but I do regret how my perspective, like I had every intention to like completely shoot pat, like I had it. But anyway, all that to say, I just feel like it was a very good learning process for us. And the thing is, we talked about being optimistic. Every single time we had a conversation and we stopped and we had that safe place conversation about like how things were going, we were like, what can we learn from this? Instead of how can we blame someone else about it? Or Kim, why haven't you done this yet? It's like, okay, how can I help you in this moment? Because we can't go back. Like, like you're going to push through, you're going to do it. You're a completionist, but how can I help you in this moment to understand that we are okay? Like you are going to be fine.
Right. And
our dreams are going to happen.
So just so we're being transparent and authentic here, you were able to pay off that $3,300 every month.
Yeah.
And you did it in
a couple months
less time.
early. Yeah. I did it a couple
like
months
4
early.
or 5 months. So you were able to accomplish that. But as much as I saw value in the program and I thought the program itself was great, I never want to see you like that again.
Yeah.
Because it really did do something to your psyche, to your mental. Like you weren't the same person for those 4 months. There was just like this like desperation.
It
and
did
like
not
this
feel good.
Working way too hard to try to bring in money because it just never seemed like enough. Because not only did you want to pay that $3,300, but you wanted to pay the family, and then you wanted to try to contribute to our dreams, and then we had tax stuff going on. Like there was just so much going on that it was weighing on you mentally.
But that's when we read all of those books that we bring to you now. That's right. That's when we. That's when
it was
we
around
learned,
this time last year.
Yeah,
it was like April, May, June.
This is how we recognized our coping mechanisms, right? What do you do when you're in the face of adversity or in the face of a space where you're like, oh crap, like this is not what I intended. What do? Do you sit down and cry? Do you do a little bit of Andy, what's his last name? Andy, whatever his name is, The Office. But do you do that and you just like, sit there and cry about it? Or do you like,
I so can't too, just sit here and cry.
Do you wallow? Do you get mad? Do you get super driven? Do you get desperate? I did a little bit of all those things, but one of the main things that I did was I was like, I found a book, I'm reading it and I'm learning and I'm getting inspired, I'm getting motivated. So I can like get back into the discipline of this, right?
Tell the people.
So I dove into books, and that summer we read so many.
I still got the list on my phone. We're still reading.
So many books.
I just started Capital Gains.
Yeah.
By Chip and Joanna Gaines, and you started Invested, right?
I read Invested by Danielle Towns, and I'm really excited about that one. It's a good first. I'm only in like the first couple of chapters. I read a lot slower than he does, but regardless, we read a lot of books. In the face of that, I needed inspiration to keep me going because I didn't have it on my own. And it was that discipline of showing up, yes, but there was a lot of safe place moments.
All right, so let's get into this, all right? So we're about midway through this podcast, and we're going to talk to you now about how to create the safe space that we kind of just talked through. There's some things that you probably noticed and some things you might have missed. But let's talk about that. Yeah. Creating a safe place to communicate with your spouse is essential for productive and healthy communication. So here are some steps you can take to create that safe space. Number 1, choose the right time and place.
This is so important. So you'll notice that, sorry, I didn't mean to like jump in. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It just felt like double Dutch, and like you saw your moment.
I did. I saw my moment. I just jumped in.
I already jumped out.
I love that. Like, even in the example we just said, like he was watching a game in that example. And I told him, I was like, hey babe, I need a safe place moment. Right. So right there's like this where I'm giving him like a little bit of a reminder, or just like a hey,
a little heads up.
This is a little bit of a different conversation. This is different than me just like rattling off my day and you zoning me out, because that's okay. Like, I realize that I talk a lot. But I'm like, hey, I need a safe place, which signals to him, ooh, she's really thought about this for a while. This is different than just her rattling off something. I need to make sure I let her know the right time and place. This is not the right time. The Lakers are about to lose desperately.
Whoa. You didn't have to say, I can say that. You can't say that. So it's important to choose a time when you're both relaxed, you're not stressed, you're not in a hurry, there's nowhere to go, nothing to do. Like, you have a moment, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell you when it's not. It's not during the Lakers game.
No.
It's not during Love is Blind.
No.
Which is also my show, by the way.
Our show. It's like you wanted to watch it this season. I did not want to watch it this season.
It's not while the kids are awake.
No.
It's not while you and I are both at work or in that work mindset.
It's not a text message.
Nope. It has to be like, for us, it has to be like after 7:30, but not so late that we're falling asleep on each other. Yeah. It's very similar to like if we wanted to be intimate, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Like,
it's got to be the right time and place.
After 7:30, before the kids, no kids. Perfect. Like, conditions got to be perfect, man. So I got to make a choice. Like, are we going to have a safe place conversation, or are we going to, have some time together? Got to make my choice.
Got to make my choice. Which one is it? But like, yeah, like you really have to have like this conversation. And even before we had kids, we were doing this without even recognizing it. We didn't have a name for it. But when we first started like talking about our finances, we didn't do it at our house. We were like, you know what? This is probably not a place that we should have this conversation, because it's so familiar that it's easy to zone out. It's easy to point at other things that are around the house that you're like, well, you did that. Well, you did that. Well, you did that. And it was just too familiar. So what we did was we would bring we had a little binder, our little Dave Ramsey binder.
Yes, it was.
We should bring it onto the YouTube so you guys can see it.
Will. But yes,
it has
Instagram.
It's like a historical artifact of like literally every dollar that we spent from when we first started doing that program. And so we would go to a Starbucks. Starbucks. And we would get ourselves a nice little coffee, and we would do our budget there. We would talk about dreams. We would talk about goals. We would talk about what do we want to do this month. And we would talk about the good stuff first that we wanted to accomplish before we got into the nitty gritty of what we actually can do with our finances. Like, that was so helpful for me and for him, because we both were meeting at the same, again, that oxen, example that you gave last time. Like, we were both like teamwork. And then when we looked at the money, it wasn't like, it was teamwork. This is what's going to help us get to our joint goals. So, choose the right time and place.
Absolutely. And maybe being in a public place like that might, help you to stay within your character, when the conversation shifts sometimes.
Yes.
So that could be helpful. All right. So you got to find that time for you, find that comfortable, that right time, that right place to have that conversation. Don't just drop that on your spouse randomly.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't be like dropping stuff down. That does not make sense.
All right. So. Next up, number 2, establish trust. So the foundation of any relationship is trust. It's important to establish trust with your spouse by being honest, reliable, and consistent in your words and actions. So in our mock safe place, I tried to make it so that I was establishing the trust. You came to me and you said, hey, babe, I want to talk to you about something. It's very important to me. Like, it's a safe place type of thing. And I said, okay, cool. I hear you. I just got to finish this. But who started the conversation after that?
You did.
I did. I came to you and said, hey, look, the game's over now. Unfortunately, the Lakers lost. But I heard that you wanted to say something that was very near and dear to you, safe place conversation. So I'm here. What's up?
Right.
I'm showing you that I'm reliable, that like I heard you. I'm consistent. Like I said I would come see you,
Right.
and I came to see you.
Right.
Like I'm bringing the conversation to you, which is showing that I value
Yes, that's what I was going to.
what you're saying.
That was what my head was
or what
thinking.
you have
Like,
to say.
I value that what you're saying is also important to me as well. So I am here because I am excited about this conversation, and I'm excited to converse with you about this. And I trust, even later on, like you mentioned, like I trust you. Like I trust what you've done before. I trust that you have thought about this very well and thoroughly. I trust you, right? So even in your everything that you said and in the posture of how you showed up was trusting. And I said that I trust you simply by saying, hey, I have a safe place moment and I need you as my confidant to hear me and not judge me. I need you to just like listen to me and just be a sounding board for me at this moment.
Right. And then you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's great that your spouse came to you after the game. I don't know that my significant other would do that. He or she, might not come check in on me and say that to me. And if that's the case, well, if you're not listening to this together, then you can be the example when they come to you with a
Right.
safe place conversation. And you're saying, hey, I'm finishing up these dishes, or I'm putting the kids to bed, or whatever. I'm going to come talk to you after that's done. Be that example and go talk to them
Right.
when you're done, right? Don't go do some other chore. Don't go do some other task. Because if I finish the basketball game and Kim comes out and she sees me jumping on some video games or watching a different show, that would break trust.
Exactly.
Because she'd be like,
Yeah.
well, hold up. You
Yeah.
said you would come talk to me after the game. The game's over. Like,
Why are you-
I respected
Yeah.
that you couldn't talk to me right then and there, but, be a man of your word.
Right. That's really what it is. Be a man / be a woman of your word. Right. Yeah, I think that really was what it is. And I like that you wrote down here, I'm looking at your notes now, that it says, trust takes time. And I hear so many times, like in conversations that I have with couples, is that they're like, well, my husband won't, my wife won't, or whatever. And there's just a lot of this like hem and hawing of what will never happen. And I think what you're expecting is for your relationship to look like ours, or for your relationship to look like whatever you think it should look like. And that's not going to happen overnight, first of all. And it's not going to happen without intentionality from both of you, right? And sometimes, like, again, it starts one-sided. Like he said, just like you being the example and you saying that. And by you giving that opportunity to say, hey, I stopped what I was doing. I'm listening to what you need to say. Hey, I have something that I'd like to say too. Can you just give me a couple of minutes and can we like continue this conversation? And I really, and like set the parameters of what you expect. Not like, this is what I need you to do. Like, I love when I see like TikToks of people where it's like, I just need you to listen. I'm not looking for a response. I'm not looking for you to fix my problem. I just need you to listen and just really hear me. That's all I need. And that sets the expectation of what you want out of the conversation. And I think it's the same thing here. When you are going into that conversation, being able to say, I don't need you to tell me your opinion about whether you like or don't like this right now, or whether you agree or don't agree. I just need you to hear that. I just need you to hear me. And I'll let you know what I need from you when it comes time, like, whatever. I just feel like you kind of have to guide the conversation that way, like set up your expectations before you even get into what you're trying to talk about.
Absolutely. You reminded me of that children's story that we read to our daughters. I know this is really corny.
Yeah, that is a good book.
What is it called? Like the bunny or the listener or the...
Oh my gosh.
This is a
gonna
shame.
Drive
This is a
me
shame. So
nuts. I'm going to look at
in this story, there's a boy, he's playing with his blocks. His blocks get knocked over and he's pissed basically.
Yeah.
And then all these different animals come up to the boy to try to make him feel better. They say, one will say, oh, you should rebuild it. And he's like, nah, like I'm still mad.
Yeah.
One's like, oh, well, you should, knock someone else's over. And he's like, nah, I'm still mad. And someone's like, oh, you should be sad or you should pout. Or they just say all these different things he should do.
Should.
He's not feeling any of them. Like he's just upset. And then the final animal is like this bunny. And the bunny doesn't say anything. It just sits next to him while he's in his feelings. And ultimately, that's all he wanted. He just wanted somebody there to sit with him while he was in his feelings. He didn't want someone to tell him how to solve his problem. He just wanted someone to chill with him or listen to him.
Honestly, like, listen to a kid's book or read a kid's book about feelings, about emotions, about regulating like conversations, because it's very similar, if not exactly what you want as an adult.
No, adults can be kids too.
Like, we're all adults. We're all kids within ourselves, right? We just want to be heard. That's truthfully what it is.
All right. So far, when we had our safe place conversation, we chose the right time and place and we establish trust. And again, trust should be established well before this conversation, but you can build trust while having this conversation.
Right.
Right. If that conversation goes well, that builds trust for the next time.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, you know
Go
what?
ahead.
I don't even know if this is in your notes, but one of the things, because we've had this conversation before, like we've done like speaking and all that stuff, and people have asked us questions about this. One of the things that's really helpful about safe place conversations, whatever you choose to call it, you don't have to call it a safe place conversation. You can name it whatever you want to name it. So then you understand, have this, code word between you and your hubby or spouse. So what we do, or what was really helpful, is having like not a timer, but just kind of understood that like we can't be too long-winded, especially if you have one spouse that is very short attention spans.
You got to know, early in the pod, we said you got to know yourself and you got to know your partner.
Yes. So you have to know your partner. If he's not able to listen to me, like it takes stamina to listen to someone like blow off steam for like 10 minutes. You can't start off at 100%, right? So if I wanted to talk about that coaching thing, I might just have to say, hey, like I might have to give him the condensed version. And then as he asks more questions, then give more details, because then he's more invested. I might change the way that I phrase it or change the way that I approach it so that I'm able to get more engagement out of him. But if I just regurgitated everything to him and he's not the type of learner, or he's not the type of listener to be able to like actually retrieve all that information, because that's just not how he learns or how he listens, I've lost him. So it might be helpful to set a timer to say, hey, I want you to maybe take a time to like write it out first, what you want to say. So then you kind of have like your thoughts concise, and then switch and tell each other what it is. Like there are so many things out there that again, sound so simple or so elementary, but they work. And that's how strong communications between your spouse happens, because you're doing the simple things that are going to cause you to actually listen to each other.
Number 3.
Thank you.
Talk less, smile more. Don't let them know who you're against or who you're for.
You almost got all the lyrics correct.
How does it go? Talk less, smile more. Don't let them know who you're against or who you're for.
It's not. Don't let them know what you're against or what
you're
for.
against or you're for. Okay. Well, anyways,
I was very close. I would
point
say
is
98%.
Practice active listening.
I have active listening when I listen to lyrics.
Active listening is not something that I do with lyrics.
No.
I just sing what I feel in my heart.
Yes, I'm
and
a
it
lyric
comes out.
stickler.
It just oozes out of me.
Yeah.
And it's not always right. But active listening involves focusing on what your partner is saying without interrupting, without assumptions.
Yes.
This helps your spouse feel heard and validated. So talk less,
Smile more.
smile more.
I love that. So, I love that you have to be available to listen. So females, I need you to, well, it's majority females. It doesn't mean that it's everybody, but like, picking up things that are around your house while your husband is talking to you about something that's really important to him. This is not the time, right? Washing dishes while you're listening to them like regurgitate all the things that are super important to them in the safe place moment is not the time, right? That's why I said earlier, get out of the house.
Right.
Get somewhere where you're not going to be super familiar so that you have to engage with the person who's talking to you.
And if you're in Starbucks or if whatever, like put the phone down.
Yeah.
Don't start, like you said, like trying to fold the laundry real quick while you're having a conversation. Like this is not your chance. This is not your time to multitask.
Right.
Like be
present. Be present in the moment. And it's, these are one of those things that like, as you get more practice in this active listening and more practice in using this safe place and you guys are very comfortable with it, you'll figure out what you're going to be able to say. Oh yeah, we can have this conversation. I know I'm listening to you, and you have the, we have the trust in each other that I know if you're folding laundry and you're listening to me, I know you're really listening to me. But at first, no, you've got to practice that active listening.
So I really don't care if you are like, that was God's gift to you, that you are like the most impeccable, incredible multitasker of all time. Like you have this ability to like do multiple things at once and still be present with your spouse. I don't care, because you know what? Even though you can do that, your spouse might not see it that way.
Right.
Like if I'm trying to bare my heart to you and you're busy on your phone or you're picking up clothes off the floor, like you may be 100% present with me, but like I need to see that you're looking at me and that you like care about what I say. Right. So don't multitask, be present, be an active listener. And I tried to do this in our mock sample, you were telling me about like this business opportunity and this coach, and I made it a point to say nothing. And while you were talking, I was trying to think of questions that I could ask, and also how could I restate what you just said to me? Like I wanted you to know I listened. So I started by saying, hey babe, I love you. Thanks for bringing this to me. Like I want you to know that, you know, I care about you and this business, and I see how much it means to you. Here's what I heard you say. This is what you said. Let me see if I got this right.
Right.
All right. Let me play it back to you like a Yak Back classic. All right. Number one, you know, you want to go into coaching. Number two, it costs $20K. Number three, you're trying to like generate more leads, and you feel like this is going to help you do that. You just had a $20K month or $20K quarter or whatever. And, you know, with this coach's help, you can keep reproducing that or go further.
It was a
so it's like,
month.
Hey, you know, I wasn't perfect listening, but I got the gist, right? So I think it's important as you're listening to first like restate what you think they said.
Right.
That way they know you're listening, you're trying to listen. And if there's anything incorrect, they can fix it. They can say, okay, yeah, I hear that you heard most of what I said, but that one thing about the $20K, it was actually how much?
It was a month. It was a $20K
It was a month. It wasn't a quarter. Okay.
It was not the quarter.
So, right. So I think in being an active listener, listen with the intent to restate what they just said, so they know you're listening and you heard them, and have, you know, questions for them.
Right. And notice that like he didn't, in the mock thing, he didn't try to correct my issue. He didn't try to like say, well, this is all you need to do, Kim. Like he did offer a solution. He did offer something for me to think about, but it wasn't like the first thing he said, like, okay, yeah, oh my God, another coaching. Kim, you've already done another one. You've already done the one before that. And I mean, yeah, you did great, but are you serious? Like, do you know what we're trying to do? Like, imagine how that conversation could have gone if that's how he was going to react. Would I feel trustworthy in telling him anything else that I choose to do with my business or with my money for that matter? Right. But because he chose to give me the opportunity to tell him all of my like thinking about it, what I would like to do with it, he really showed initiative and like caring about what I was talking about. Then I have more, he has more buy-in, right, from what I'm saying, but I actually have more buy-in to hear his feedback. So when he says, hey, like, what have you thought about this? Is this an option that you're willing to look at? Like, can we think about this over the next couple of days and think about this option? Like that shows like, okay, that's a teamwork mentality as opposed to nagging, how dare you, what in the world, like cutting me off and kind of like, you know, taking out my argument right from under me.
Right. So number 3 is all about being an active listener, and it's important to wait for that natural pause or for your partner to ask you a question, which you did. You know, you're like, all right, so I want to know your thoughts now. Like I finished my statement.
Right. What do you think?
What do you think about what I just said? So you kind of went into this a little bit. Avoid number 4. Avoid blame or criticism. Blaming or criticizing your spouse can make them feel defensive and shut down communication.
Yep.
Instead, focus on expressing your own feelings and needs. This is huge, right? We don't want to shatter the trust. The whole purpose of the safe space is it's like this beautiful, delicate, fragile bubble. Like we've entered this arena. It's a peaceful place. It's tranquil, but it's also incredibly delicate.
Yeah.
And the moment you shatter that trust, or you bring in disrespect, or you bring in blame, or you bring in criticism or judgment, which we're going to talk about, like that, the bubble pops.
Yep.
And it's no longer a safe place. Like you're back in the real world.
Right.
Right. And we don't want that. So it's a no judgment zone. It's like Planet Fitness. It just came to me.
It's like Planet Fitness.
So you can be completely open and honest and truly say what's on your heart and mind, no matter how crazy it is.
Yes.
There's no lugs there.
There's no lugs. No lugs.
I think that's a Planet Fitness.
It is a Planet Fitness thing.
So again, it's a place not to hurt and harm. It's a place to be heard and appreciated.
Yeah.
So avoid blame.
And again, this is why we said this can be used for any part of your marriage, any part of communication in general. So like even with your kids, this can be used, right? Having that safe place with your kids, having that safe place to talk to your spouse about other things that are happening in your family. When it comes to talking about maybe something that your family member or whatever, a conversation that you had, and you really need to be like, hey, I need to just go ahead and get this off my chest because I want to solve this problem or whatever. And I need a safe place, right? It could be helpful in awkward or in social situations where you want to try and figure out if like you're safe or whatever, and you need to have that safe place. Like this is, I mean, it's even for intimacy, right? Like even having that conversation of like, I need a safe place to express this to you because I feel uncomfortable, or I don't know, whatever it happens to be. Like it is such an amazing tool that if you can nail this down, I mean, you're welcome.
You are welcome. Right. So number 5.
This is a good one.
Use I statements. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That kind of reminded me of what I was going to say in the last one.
There you go.
I never blamed, in our mock sample, I never blamed you or criticized you. Mm-hmm. I didn't try to make you feel defensive. I didn't shut you down or anything. But I did use I statements. And I did tell you how I felt.
Yeah.
Right. I presented it through my feelings.
Right.
When I talked about how I felt about our dreams, how I felt about prior coaching, I saw the benefits, but you know, my concerns about paying the family so that we could accomplish those dreams. So using I statements is a big deal.
Right.
For both speakers, really. Using an I statement can help you express your feelings without blaming or criticizing your spouse. Mm-hmm. For example, if you say, I feel hurt when you don't communicate with me about money, it's more effective than saying, you never talk to me about money.
Yeah.
When you say you, it's very poignant and like directed at someone.
Yeah.
When you say, this is how I feel, it's a little bit different.
Right.
Right. You can be more empathetic when someone says, hey, this is how I'm feeling about not being communicated with money. Like you feel empathetic towards them. Like, oh man, I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Right.
But if you say, dude, you never talk to me about money. Well, now they're on the
now
defense,
they're on the defensive side, right? They're like, well, okay, well, let me just go ahead and defend myself, right? So then that's when fights ensue, you know?
So I'm going to give you some examples here. This is by Amy Glass. I found this online. Some examples of using I statements, and you can quickly hear how one can make you feel more empathetic towards an individual and one can make you feel more like defensive or attacked. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So here's an example of an I statement. I feel frustrated that this project is so far behind schedule. Mm-hmm. Right. We can kind of empathize that this person is upset because they wish their project or our project was further along than it is.
Yeah.
Versus I feel frustrated that you haven't finished the report, which put this project so far behind.
Right.
Right. Maybe it is that person's fault. Maybe you've done everything, right? We all know what it's like to have a group project. We've all been in like public or private school. You had the group project and there's always that one person
that's not doing their job.
Or that one person who does all the work and doesn't let you do anything, or you know what I mean? Like there's that group dynamic there.
Yeah.
So even if it is their fault, there's a better way than saying, hey, look, bro, look, chick, right?
This is your fault.
We'd be done by now if you just finished your part of the project.
Right.
All right. That's why we're so far behind. It ain't me.
Right.
It's you.
Right.
Instead of putting them on the defense, you could just say, hey, I'm feeling a little frustrated that this project is so far behind schedule. I never said why.
Nope.
I'm just telling you how I feel.
Yeah. And then from that point, an open conversation can be created from there, because now the person can now say, oh, well, how can I help you with that? Or, oh,
I'm sorry you feel that way.
I'm sorry you feel that way. Let's see how we can solve this problem. Now it's a teamwork effort to figure it out, even if we already know where it's coming from. You know, like then we can start coming up with different solutions together, as opposed to fighting because you just, called somebody out. Right. So there's just nicer ways that you can do it. So
I feel like you could use this next one on me. So I apologize in advance.
I get easily annoyed by a lot of distractions.
Versus
I get annoyed when you keep distracting me.
I love so hard.
He loves so hard.
I love so hard.
I've made you into a cuddler.
And
it's my fault.
I know that I can be vexing when I keep barging into the room to talk to you or to to dance or to hit you or to do whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I just do weird stuff sometimes and I can't help it, you know?
You can't help
So instead of saying, I get annoyed when you keep distracting me, babe.
Sometimes I just tell you you're annoying. No, I'm
Which,
just kidding.
yes,
I
I get it.
I don't.
No,
I really
it's-
don't.
Look, and none of us are perfect. Like sometimes
I
we
really
use our
don't.
direct words. But if we use an I statement, instead of saying that to me or to your spouse or to your sister or to your brother or to your friend or to whoever, your roommate, look, I get easily annoyed by a lot of distractions.
Right.
You're just saying how you feel.
Yeah. This is how I feel.
You never told them that they were the distraction, but you know, they can read between the lines.
Yep. And then they understand a little bit more about you, right? You've just created a boundary. I get really annoyed by a lot of distractions. That's just a fact that's about me. Whether you're a distraction or not, doesn't matter. You just need to know that I get annoyed by distractions. So if you're coming in here and you're being loud and that's a distraction, well, I just gave you a very good indication of what that's doing to me. So I feel like, you're not actually calling people out. You're just giving them, you're just letting them know how you receive that. And I think that that's a really important place for you to create boundaries just from using those statements.
All right, last one. I really want to make an important contribution to this department, and I don't feel that I'm doing it as effectively as I could.
That's a very, very good statement. Instead of saying what?
I really want to make an important contribution, but your micromanagement doesn't let me do that. Leave me alone and let me do me. Like, I want to contribute to this company. You hired me, all right, to do my job.
To do my job.
Let me do it. Let me do it. All right. But instead, how much of a nicer way to say to your boss,
Yeah.
hey, I really do want to make an important contribution to this department. And I don't feel that I'm doing it as effectively as I could.
Yeah. Do you know what I need to be more effective? Boom, 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 boom. Immediately letting the person who is micromanaging you know what boundaries you need or what space you need in order to get your things done.
So again, we used that while we were having our conversation. I said, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like our dreams aren't happening because we keep doing this. I feel like, you just got a coaching. I feel like that's, double our mortgage. I never said like, hey, babe, you keep doing this.
Yeah.
Or
it wasn't attacking.
When's it going to stop?
Right.
Or you don't even care about our dreams. Like all you think about is you and your business. You don't think about it. Like there was never like this, you. It was just like, hey, this is how I'm feeling about it. And then I allowed you to be empathetic towards me.
Right.
And vice versa. You would say, hey, here's how I'm feeling about my business. I want to be here. I want to generate more leads. I want to do this. What do you think?
Yeah. And not only that, but like I loved my favorite question that we just did in that mock was just you saying, okay, well, this is my fear, right? And you said it in your statement. This is how I'm feeling about this. Like if we said yes to this, here are the things that would make me feel a little bit uneasy. And then I had solutions ready to go. Well, I already have this much ready to go for backup pay, making sure I can pay for my expenses. So we'd have this much left over. Here's something that's coming up in the summer, so we don't have to worry too much about that. So blah, 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 blah. And so creating more alleviation of his fear. So then he's able to say, okay, that actually sounds like we could make this work. This is not that big of a risk. This is actually kind of a good investment. Like we could do this, right? And I think that is one way that you can actually soften the blow of something so large that you're talking about. And I know this one's really just about money, right? But you could use this even if you're investing in, I don't know, a coaching program that you're trying to go to with KG Financial, or who knows, but you're trying to talk to your spouse about it. But like, this is a really great way for you to kind of like
shameless plug,
but like to have the conversation of here's how I already have thought about the missing pieces. I've already done that. And you can alleviate the other person's fears by simply listening to their own I statements.
Number 6. This one ties in a lot to the one that we talked about before with avoiding blame or criticism, but also just avoid judgment and belittling, right? I think the biggest thing here is just to remember the goal of the conversation, right?
Right.
You are bringing your heart to your partner. This is a safe place, right? This is not a place for judgment. This is not a place for belittling or making someone feel bad. Like that's not the goal of this conversation, right? Even if those things cross your mind,
right?
Look, we're all human. We all have thoughts. Even if those judgmental thoughts, like, babe, you keep doing this, dude, or the belittling comments, it's just keep them to yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Especially
if you don't have something nice to say,
don't say anything at all. You got to remember, this is your spouse. This is your best friend. This is a person that you decided that you want to grow old with, that you want to, build your empire with, that you have big dreams with, right? This is the person that you're going to start a family with or, travel the world with. This is literally your person, okay? And you don't want to treat that person like trash. You don't want to, I know we might feel like we want to be so comfortable that we can just say whatever we want to them and they're not going to feel it. But if there's anyone that you shouldn't be like, whatever, I could say whatever I want and I don't have to worry about it, it should definitely be your spouse. So you should treat them
especially when they're bearing their heart to you.
Exactly. Like if they are doing that, if they're in that safe place mode, which is why, again, that code word is huge. If you're able to use that, then that immediately tells you what's the mood. Like, I can't joke. I can't be like,
right,
adding in some additional little like haha jokester tricks of the trade in there, because this is not the time. Like, read the room, right? So it just changes the shift of the conversation simply by saying, I need a safe place moment. Whereas if you're having a conversation, you're shooting the breeze, you're driving around and you're just like, whatever, that's the time where if you're just hanging out and you're just saying something that doesn't really have a lot of weight to it, sure, but go for it. But
right,
like in a safe place, like you do need to kind of treat it as a serious moment.
So avoid using those words or phrases that can be perceived as insulting or condescending, right? Again, what's their perception? You might say like, oh, haha, that's funny, but
right,
how are they going to perceive it? If it's going to be perceived potentially as insulting or condescending, don't say it.
Don't say it.
That's not the place for it. Not in the safe place.
If you don't have something nice to say,
don't say it at all. Be respectful, right? This is something, takeaway number 7, that is so elementary, but even as adults, we need to be reminded of this.
Be respectful.
You need to show respect to your spouse, right? Don't interrupt them. Not once while you were speaking during our mock sample did I interrupt you to say, are you out of your mind? What?
Even if 20K? They were thinking about it.
Right? I never yelled at you. I never said, babe, when's it going to stop? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Right? I never yelled. I never said anything insulting. I never interrupted you. You need to treat your spouse with the same kindness and respect that you want to be treated with. If I'm bearing my heart to you in a safe place, like if my heart is out of my chest and it's in front of you, you could easily stab it.
Yep.
I am in a vulnerable place, but I trust you enough to have that conversation. I'm taking that risk that I could be extremely emotionally harmed and damaged.
Right.
But I trust you that you are going to actually listen to my heart. Mm-hmm. And then when you're done, you're just going to like put it back in my chest and be like, good boy. You did
like, so good. You did so good.
Thank you for telling me that.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, like just don't interrupt.
Yeah.
Try to, even if you're known to speak your mind, this is not the time to do it.
Yeah.
When those thoughts come to your head, what do they call those, intrusive thoughts or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. Try not to do that. Like, keep that to yourself. Wait for that natural pause, or wait for your partner to invite you into the conversation and say, okay, I've said my part. You go.
Yeah. It's a good one. I have nothing else to say.
Hey, I know. I crushed it. This is the last one. All right. And this one is a big one. Takeaway number 9.
This is a good one.
Take breaks if needed. I had to take a break at the end of our conversation because I didn't really have an answer for you yet. You have just given me a lot of information.
Right.
I needed to take that entire meal and cut it up, slowly chew it, slowly digest it, let it go through my system before I could come back and tell you how that tasted. I needed to work through that. That was a lot of information that you just gave me.
Yeah.
And my emotions weren't even running high, but if you need to take a break, take a break. If your emotions start running high during the conversation, take a break to cool down before continuing the discussion.
Here's the, bonus point though. You have to come back to the conversation, right? Set a time. Say, hey, tomorrow, same time, same place.
I was going to say, it doesn't have to be the same day. It can be.
It can be if you want to be like, whatever. If you want to say, hey, let's go get some ice cream and then come back and have the conversation. Like, it could be that you need to just but you need to create a pause so that you both can cool down, think about what's happening, think about what you want to say, and then come back to the table. I know it sounds like a drawn out process, and I know that life gets busy and it could be like, oh, I forgot about that. But this is, again, a safe place. This is that delicate bubble, and we need to make sure that we are protecting it. And when you vision it that way, and you're like, I want to feel safe and in this space, you will make sure that you will make the intention to come back to that space and say, okay, back to where we were. We need to continue this conversation.
I'm just picturing in my mind like Glenda the Good Witch, just floating around in her bubble. And like, what if someone popped her bubble while she was trying to float away? Like she would never bubble off ever again,
no,
dude.
She wouldn't.
She would have lost so much trust in the bubble.
She sure would have.
Like, forget this. She'd probably turn into a bad witch.
That's probably how sisters turn into bad witches.
That could be like Wicked Part 2.
That could be, Wicked dose.
The bubble's been popped. In a world without bubbles. So
it's like our kids' birth nightmare. So yeah.
And we've certainly done this when our budget meetings have gone awry, when we got a little frustrated by the numbers or the outcomes. And you know what? Like, we're people. We make mistakes. But take a break, come back, you can manage only what you can manage, right?
You can only manage
it is what it is.
Yes, absolutely.
Some things are out of your control. You just got to figure out how you can manage.
Yep.
All right. So here's what we want you to do. This is our call to action for this week. We want you to find a time this week to create a safe space with your spouse. It doesn't even have to be the deepest.
No, please don't make it a deep conversation.
It doesn't have to be. It could be the most simple thing. Because honestly, it'd probably be better to start with something small to kind of just work these practices.
It could be something that the person even knows, right? I love you. I know that. But I want, you could even set it up to just say, hey, I really just want you to know I want to create a safe space around this. And I just want to make sure that that in this space where we are together, where we're talking, I hear you. And if you have anything that you ever want to tell me, I want to be there for you. Okay? I love you.
And if we're being real, our safe spaces have been as simple as saying babe, safe space. Can I tell you something real quick?
Yeah.
It's been a really long, hard day. Mm-hmm. I do not feel like cooking tonight.
Yep, legit have had those.
I know I said I was going to clean the bathroom, but I just dealt with my children for the last 2 hours, and I just want a nap.
And I love doing that because we do that often. It doesn't have to be these long, drawn out conversations. We use it for simple things. And I think especially in parenthood, we've used it even more so because there are days when it looks like I probably didn't do anything in the house because I've been home all day, but I had the day from Hades. You just didn't know because it was all up in my head, or it was in the conversations I had today or in the clients I had to deal with. And it just was a day. And I just will tell him hey babe, safe place. I can't. I don't have it within me today. I'm sorry the house looks like a mess, but this is just the way it is. And it's not even a thought because he might be in a better place than I am. And he's like, I got you. Don't even worry about it. Go to bed, do whatever you got to do. Or he might be in the same place too. And he's like, babe, same. It's been a horrible day. Let's go order something. Let's put the girls to bed early. And I'm like, yes, okay, great. But you need to have in the same way you have those, you're probably already doing those types of conversations where you both are just yo, it's been a day. Just, elaborate on that and bring it to bigger conversations slowly but surely.
So I intentionally chose a conversation today for our mock sample that had to do with money. But for our next podcast, episode 11, we are going to be specifically talking about how to create that safe place with a money conversation. Ooh. So we're going to take everything you just heard in exclusivity and then take it a little bit further for the general public. So you have the benefit of hearing how to use this for every single conversation you ever have in your life. You've gotten very specific details about how we broke this down, right? Everyone's not going to get that, but you did. But we are going to tell you about how to have this conversation specifically with money because we know that can be a divisive conversation.
Yes. Yep. So we'll talk about that next time in our episode. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is wow. My goodness, this is one of our longer episodes, but this is such an important thing. I feel like if there's anything, like we've said before, that has really changed how we talk about finances, how we talk about big dreams, goals, how we go after them, it's this safe place, thought process.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is my wife, Kimberly Graham, the financial coach. I'm the educator, Daniel Graham, your host of the Affluent Marriage Podcast. Go live in love, walk in wealth. Have a good day, guys.
Bye, Graham Fam. Bye.